Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session on the human eye and the colorful world. There are some defects in the vision, right? So that we know. We know like the short-sightedness, the long-sightedness, and combined, right? So this myopia is basically short-sightedness. So what is short-sightedness? So in our day-to-day, we see many people wearing spectacles, right? Many people wearing spectacles. Why? So basically, what happens is our the normal eye, right? So let's say I'll try to draw this diagram. So I'm drawing with free hand, so I may not get exactly same as what you have here. Let's say this is our eye. Okay. Now the normal eye, what happens is if I have an object at infinity, right? I'm drawing with freehand, guys. Okay. So let's say if I have an object at infinity, what it does is it forms an image which is inverted onto the retina, right? So this is what a normal eye does. So you have an object at infinity and you're forming an image on the retina. But few people, for example, who picks up this sight. We usually call it as sight, right? But basically, that is a short-sightedness. What is short-sightedness? That's the myopia. That's one of the defect in the vision of the human eye. So what happens is you can see the things from short distances. You cannot see the things from infinity or beyond certain distance. You're following, right? So here I can see from infinity in a normal eye, right? As the object is closer, we can see bigger in size as its actual size or magnified or diminished image we can see. Now, what happens if we have myopia? So if we have myopia, right? So what happens is, this is the first diagram shows far point of the myopic eye. So what is this far point of the myopic eye? So here, if you see, this is the object, right? So if you want to see this object, so what is happening here is the light rays are entering and they are forming onto the retina. So what happens if I have my object somewhere here? So what basically happens in this short-sightedness is you cannot see anything distinctly beyond this point. Okay, let's say you are able to focus, see only the objects by like 5 meters distance or 10 meters distance, and you will not be able to see beyond that. If there is an object which is 20 meters distance, you will not be able to see that distinctly. You can see maybe a blurred image or something. So what is that? If you look at the second diagram here, let's say I have my object here that I am trying to see. But what is happening here? The parallel beam of light falls onto the eye lens, right? And that is forming a focus here. The image is being formed in front of the retina. So when brain can visualize that image, when it forms on the retina, and our optic nerve sends those signals to brain. So here what is happening is the optic nerve do not send signal to brain. So you cannot visualize that image properly. You following? So what is happening here is the other thing you can say is image forms in front of retina, in front of retina. But basically where we want the image to be formed on the retina so that the brain can visualize and we can see that image, right? So in myopia, that short-sightedness, what happens is you can focus or you can see the things only till a certain distance. Beyond that, the image is formed in front of retina, which you will not be, I mean, the brain will not be able to visualize. So, what to do this? So, as the technology has evolved so much that the scientists have invented a concept called wearing the spectacles. So, how we can correct that? So, this defect of the vision can be corrected by placing a concave lens in front of our eye lens, in front of our eye. So what concave lens does? Concave lens basically diverges the light ray, right? So here what is happening is from the infinity, if in the myopic eye, what is happening? Image is forming at the in front of the retina. So what we will do is with the help of the concave lens, we will diverge that. So we will slightly diverge the direction of the rays, and then it incidents on such a way that we will ensure that the image is formed on the retina, right? You understood? So what is happening here is with the help of the concave lens, we are changing the direction of the light that will fall onto the eye and thus enters into the eye lens. That the direction or the angle that these light rays enters onto the eye lens will ensure that they form the image on the retina. So that's the correction. So basically what we need, the infinite objects should form the image on the retina. That was not happening in the previous case for those who have short-sightedness. So the correction is, let's give some, the doctors, right? If you go to the ophthalmologist, they measure our power of the eye. Like, what is that power? So basically the power P equal to 1 by F that we learned, right? 1 by focal length of the lens, right? So, so if they see like how far that we are able to see, right? And based on that, they can determine what power we have. So generally, if we are using concave lens means we will have power in minus D, minus diopters, like minus 1.0, right? Minus 1.25, like that, diopters. So when they say minus 1.25, based on that, they calculate the focal length, and those lens will be designed and given to us. And once we wear those, it has the ability to correct the vision which we were not able to see with the normal eye when we have this myopia eye defect. So generally, the students like you, mostly many students face this challenge during their schooling, that they're not able to see the things that the teacher is writing on the board, on the blackboard. So that is short-sightedness, because you are able to see only to a certain distance, but not beyond that, right? Let's say your class is like 10 meters. You are sitting 10 meters behind the blackboard, but your ability with the short-sightedness, you have an ability to see the things only up to 5 meters. So in this case, your O, this distance is 5. If your blackboard is beyond that distance, right, you'll not be able to see. So what you need to do is you need a correction. So that correction can be done using concave lens based on the power that you have. So basically, what is myopia? Myopia is a short-sightedness. That means you can see only the things which are close to you from certain distance. Beyond that distance, you will not be able to see what is, you will not feel the exact image. You can see a blurred image. You cannot you cannot see the distinct image. And also, so that's the defect about myopia. So myopia is a short-sightedness, and what happens is you will be able to see, you can just write. So myopia is uh, able to see able to see images from nearby. So to correct, where what we need to do, where concave lens to form image on retina. So in myopic eye, what will happen? Image forms in front of retina. In myopia, in the myopic eye. Okay, so now we understood, right? Short-sightedness, majority of the people, particularly the students like you guys, have this myopic ID, myopic eye or the myopia. So that's a short-sightedness. So few people able to see the board and few are not. So what you need to do is, and also guys, I'll give you a suggestion here, right? Advice. So whenever you feel that you are not able to see the things on the board, the first thing you should do is you should consult the ophthalmologist and determine what power you have and immediately start wearing the glasses, right? Wear your spectacles. Otherwise, what happens is we we talked about those muscles, right, which contracts the eye, that ciliary muscles. So those muscles need to work very hard or frequent to contract the eye. So what happens is if you're not able to see, you will try to squeeze your eye and see, right? So when those muscles start squeezing, what it does is it squeezes more and more, and your eye lens becomes thicker and thicker. That means your focal length starts reducing drastically. So the more you do not use the glasses, when you realize that you have a short-sightedness, the more problem it causes. It decreases the focal length. That means it increases your power. Understood? So you will get a thicker glasses. You will get a thicker concave glasses to able to correct your vision because your power has increased. Okay, so you need to be very careful. The moment you realize that you are not able to see the things from on the blackboard, the first thing you should do is you should consult your ophthalmologist, get the prescription, and start wearing the glasses. So once you wear the glasses, your eye need not to stress like without glasses, right? So that will at least maintain your short-sightedness. It will the power will not increase, basically, right? Okay, so that's about myopic eye and myopia. That's the major defect that most of the people will see. Then there's another defect, that is hypermetropia. So what is this hypermetropia? It's the opposite to myopic myopia. So opposite, okay. What is this opposite means? It's long-sightedness. So that means you can see the things from distance, but not the close by things. You can see the objects at long distances distinctly. Means, okay. So you can see the far objects properly, but not the close by objects. Like few people, if you see, uh, they will not be able to identify the objects that are very close, that are close. Okay. So what is this defect, right? So what happens is, if you look at the first diagram here, near point of a hypermetropic eye. So what is N here? Near point of a hypermetropic eye. N dash is near point of a normal eye. So a normal eye can see the object at this close. This is normal eye. But here, this is the defective eye, that is hypermetrophic eye. So normal eye can see the object from this close, but the hypermetrophic eye cannot see near or beyond this area. It will not be able to distinctly see that. It will not be, the people with this defect are not able to see the things closer. Like in short-sightedness, what will happen? You can see the things up to certain distance, but not beyond that. Here, you can see from infinity to that distance, but not the close by. Okay, it's exactly opposite. So, so why we can't see, right? So here, let's say our object is here, right? So what is happening? The light rays are falling onto the light rays are falling onto this lens, and then what is happening here? The image is forming, right? This is the image. That's the inverted image. So the image is formed behind the retina. In the short-sightedness, it was in front of the retina, but here, in this case, image is formed behind retina. So if the image is formed behind retina, there is no way that optic nerve can catch those signals and send it to the brain to visualize, right? So that's the problem with this defect, hypermetropia. Okay, now we know there is a problem. So how to correct that? As the evaluation of uh, technology, so this lens, this defect can be corrected using convex lens. So the short-sightedness can be corrected using concave lens. Here, the hypermetropia can be corrected using convex lens. So how to do that? So let's say I am able to see the object from here, but not the object from here. So for this, if you wear a convex lens, what it does, the convex lens, if the light ray falls onto this, it converges, right? In earlier case, we wanted a diverged rays. Here, we will need converged rays because we need to reduce the focus distance. So we need to bring this focus from here onto the retina. So for that, what we need to do to converge those rays so that they already bend. And when they pass through this second lens, that is our eye lens, they starts forming the image on the retina. Okay, so the hypermetropia, the defect, that's the long-sightedness, can be corrected using concave lens. So here, able to see objects distinctly from from far distance, but not closer distances. So where the image forms? So the image forms behind the retina. Image forms behind the retina. That's why the brain cannot visualize those. So how to correct that? Can be corrected using convex lens. Okay. All right. So that is about the two defects. One was myopic. The second is hypermetrophic. All right. Next, there is another defect, that is presbyopic. So here what happens is, this defect is when you see old, as we get old, the ability of the eye to contract and relax, that the muscle functionality gets weaker. So when it gets weaker, what happens is the ability of our eye lens to adjust the focal length, that slowly decreases. So when the focal length adjustment is decreased, so what you can see is you will not be able to see the distances, see the objects from close by or even far distances. So this is like age related defect. This is age-related vision defect. And this builds as we age, comma, weakens the muscles muscles to this weakens the muscles to control the movement and focal length adjustments. You're following, right? So focal length adjustments of eye lens. So when there is no adjustment, so what will happen is you will get like we lose ability to see things that are closer, or sometimes even myopic will also be there. So you can see up to certain distance, beyond that you will not be able to see. So if you see elderly people, they will have how to correct this. So it can be myopic plus this presbyopic eye. So this can be corrected using bifocal lens. So you will have both convex and concave. So if you see few people, their spectacles will be something like this. They'll have something like this is like a convex lens. So which will help you to see the closer things, like reading glasses, right? And these are concave lens. So this is bifocal lens. So the old age people, right? So for example, they already have myopic eye defect. That means they wanted concave lens. So they must be wearing concave lens. Now, as the age gets, they pick up this weakness in the muscles and the controlling of the movement of the eye and also the focal length adjustment, right? So when the focal length adjustments gets reduced, you will not be able to see the closer things. So when you are not able to see closer things, so what you need, some lens to correct that vision, that is convex lens. So if you combine both, like if you want to see far objects, you will use the concave lens. When you need to read the closure by things or the small letters, then you can use this, an integrated convex lens. Okay, so this is how, right, our glasses will. So this is convex and this is concave. All right, so that's the another defect, guys. So I think we have covered all the details of what's the human eye and how it functions at the different parts. It acts like a camera, and then we also looked at how it exactly functions. Like we took the example of a leaf and how it forms as an inverted image, and that inverted image, how the optic nerve sends signals to the brain and how brain visualizes that image size and color and its position, right? And then the power of accommodation. This is a very powerful thing that we have in our eye, that is ciliary muscles and uh, the muscles that are on top of our eye, which controls the movement as well as the lens size, the thickness of the lens. So when the eye is relaxed, the thickness of the lens is smaller, thin. That means the focal length has increased. When you contract our eye to see small objects or the close by objects, then the thickness increases. That means the focal length decreases, right? So the ability of adjusting the focal length based on where you, which from where you need to see the object, that is called the power of accommodation of eye lens. Now, So we can adjust the focal length to a certain point, but not beyond that. So the minimum distance, so the minimum distance for normal eye, right? For normal eye to see objects distinctly. Distinctly means clearly. Distinctly is 25 centimeter, guys. That means if you see anything, let's say I am seeing my hand, right? So I can see at certain distance. If I bring it very closer, I will not, I can see it, but I cannot see like what kind of lines I have in my hand, how it is. So you are not able to distinct it, distinct it clearly. Okay. So you, as you cannot distinct if the object is like 5 centimeters, like see, I have something like this, right? Very close. I will not be able to uh, identify that image, right? I'll see something is in front of me, but I cannot, if I have something written on my hand and I'll take it to the 10 centimeters, if you try to read, you will not be able to, because the minimum distance that is required for our eye, because that is 25 centimeters, because the focal length cannot be adjusted beyond certain point, right? So the minimum distance we need to have to be able to see our objects distinctly is 25 centimeters. Okay. And then we looked at the defects vision. That's the myopia, which is short-sightedness, where majority of our young people, like students and engaged people, picks this up. So the correction is can be using concave lens. Why? Because the image is forming in front of the retina. By using concave lens, we will get that image back onto the retina. Then we also looked at hypermetropia. Hypermetropia is long-sightedness, so where the image forms behind the retina, right? We need to bring that back onto the retina. To do that, we need convex lens to correct that. And then we also looked at the presbyopia. Presbyopia is like an age-related vision defect, so that you will build as you grow, the muscles get weaker, so it will, the eye will lose the ability to the movement of the eye as well as the accommodation, that is the adjusting the focal length of the eyes. So that's an age related defect, and we lose the ability to sometimes see the things closer. So a person who already have myopic eye, if as they pick up the age, they will need bifocal lens to focus long distance, that is concave lens, and to read the things or small objects or nearby, very close by objects using the concave lens. So yeah, hope you guys understood. That's all for today's session, guys. I hope you all understood the topic, and even in case you have any questions, you can reach me on my Urban Pro profile. Thank you, guys.